Now often a table isn't quite arranged the way you'd like it. I'm just going to open up the table TBL call and double click it. Now I'm not encouraging that tables are necessarily where you do data entry, that is the users, but sometimes we do have to do data entry via the table, and so we really want it to be conducive to working easily with it. So the first thing I'd tackle is column widths. You may want to double click the line between two column headings. Oops. And that will allow you, with this mouse pointer here, to best fit the width of each column. Now this sometimes makes the difference between being able to see all the columns on one screen, being able to print everything, etc. You can drag if you wish to widen a column, but you can also double click to best fit a column. Now certain columns also don't need to be seen. I really don't think they need to see call ID, and I don't think they need to see this last one, which they could click and add a field to your table, which is quite dangerous. So I would click on the call ID, for example, and one way to get rid of it is to go to the More button and just choose to hide that field or column, whichever you choose to call it. Hide fields, columns, and it's gone. You can also click on this particular one here and choose to hide that field as well. If you felt that you needed to unhide those fields, you would simply go back to the More button and go Unhide. And when you go Unhide, you can see those things without ticks are currently hidden. And you can bring them back and you can see it in the background, or you can hide them just as quickly by unticking them. So that's how you hide and unhide columns. You can also move columns. So if I felt that call type really needed to be after subject, I'd click on call type, the column heading, and that's one action. And the second action would be to drag it and put the solid black bar where I want it to go. So I want it to go there to the right of subject. You can just as easily move it back, but I want it to sit to the right of subject. So you can easily move columns as well, especially if you're doing data entry off a piece of paper and it's not in the same order as your screen, then move the columns on your screen. If you struggle with the font or the font size, you can change that as well. You can't make one column or one row a different font from everything else, so whatever font choice you make will apply to the entire table. So the font is over here in the text formatting group, and I'm just going to choose, say, Arial, and I might set it to 10. And so that's the font and the font size. You can change the font color if you wish, and all these other attributes as well, bold, italics, and underline. So that's that. The grid lines, you can also change that. These are the grid lines options here. At the moment we've got both, but you can just have horizontal, you can just have vertical, you can have none. They're very subtle lines, so you may either want to change the color of your grid lines, but I'm going to go back to both. To change the alternative color and background color, you can hit this button here, and you might decide that you want to alternate them with, say, a yellow, and so that alternates. Every second row now will have a yellow background, or you could go for a grey background, or just something easy for making it easy for them to read across, and I've gone with a light blue. So you can easily alternate the colors. You've also got a totals button here up in the home tab. When I click the totals button, I get a total row, and at the foot of each column is now a drop down. Now if the content of the column is text, you'll only get one function, which is count. And so I can count the number of customers. The employees will be the same. When it comes to a number field though, or in this case a time, you can ask for the average, the maximum, the minimum. There are other functions that appear. So I just count literally just the customers and the number of calls really. So those are the sorts of options you've got as far as text formatting, and as far as you can run a spell check as well. So there's a spelling button there. Doesn't have any spelling errors, so that's okay. I can save my record, add a new record, and really that's hide, unhide, freeze certain fields, so as you scroll they stay still. So any sort of data sheet formatting. Now when you close this table, because you've done quite a bit with the look of it, it will say, do you want to save not the changes regarding records, but the changes regarding the table layout. So if I go close, Do you want to save the layout? Now, if you go no, it'll go back to how it was originally. If you go yes, this is how it will look every time you open it. So I'll go yes. Every time I open up the call table, it's now going to have that look. So you can actually do a little bit of formatting with each of the datasheet views and each of the tables.